What if I told you that no one's using this Arceus EX deck, but it will carry you to Master Ball rank? No, that's exactly what I'm going to be telling you today in this video. With the ranked mode sort of solidified by now, we kind of know what the meta is and what the meta isn't. And there is an Arceus EX deck out there that is meta relevant, and that consists of Crobat. Now there's two variants of this. Either you use Darkrai EX or you use 2 Carnivine, but my version of Arceus EX doesn't use Crobat. It does use Carnivine, however, but the third Pokemon that's in this deck is Delcatty. Stick with me now. I feel like Delcatty is a very underrated meta relevant card. Well, it's not really meta relevant because no one seems to be using it. I would just say it's a very undiscovered card that's actually amazing. For 1 energy, it does 30 damage and you get to attach a colorless energy from your energy zone to one of your benched Pokemon, mainly going to be your Arceus EX. And this is basically a smaller 1-prize version of Dialga EX. It's everything that made Dialga EX really good when it first came out, and I mean, to this day, it's still pretty good. But now you have a 1-prize version of it. You know, you're not attaching 2 energy per attack, but you don't need to be attaching all that energy to a 3-cost attack Arceus EX. The fact that it's 1 prize is absolutely amazing. You get to use your Delcatty, you get to use your Carnivine, and at the end of the day, you're going to be using your Arceus EX to clean everything up. I feel like once the rest of the community catches on to how good Delcatty really is, we're going to see a lot more play with Delcatty in various decks because it's colorless, meaning it can fit into pretty much every single deck you could imagine. Obviously, if there is a use for colorless energy for your benched Pokemon, but that's really not going to be hard to find. Anyways, I'm yapping too much. Let's get into the build of this deck. Okay, so to start things off, you're going to want 2 copies of each Pokemon, including their full line. So you're going to want to have 2 Carnivine, 2 Skitty, 2 Delcatty, and of course, 2 Arceus EX. Now, Carnivine is actually a heavy hitter for only 1 energy. When you have Arceus on your bench, it does plus 30 damage, so Vine Whip does 50 damage. And this one-hit KOs a lot of those squishy Pokemon in the early game. Most specifically, it's going to do numbers against a Garchomp EX deck because Gible is going to get one-shotted by it, and it's going to be able to knock out Rockruff with ease. And it can do a lot of damage to the likes of Rampardos, which is a very popular meta-relevant card. Now, Skitty isn't anything too crazy. It's Delcatty who really does shine. Like I mentioned earlier, for 1 energy, it does 30 damage while attaching a colorless energy to one of your benched Pokemon. This card is just so underrated. It can very quickly energize your Arceus EX, and at 90 HP, it isn't really that one-shottable, especially in the early game. So ideally, the perfect way to play this is to have it set up early game, and if the stars align, you can be setting up 2 Arceus EX simultaneously, and that's just in a perfect world. Most often, you're just going to be setting up 1 Arceus EX with it, and the 30 damage that it does puts your opponent's Pokemon in one-shot territory to your Arceus EX. Or Carnivine. Obviously, Arceus EX, it's been around the block, you guys already know, but for 3 energy, it does 70 plus damage. It does 20 more damage for each Pokemon on your bench, and its ability prevents it from being affected by any special conditions. Poison Barb is pretty popular in the meta right now, and Incineroar can potentially burn your Pokemon, so again, it's just an extra barrier of just, you know, safety, essentially. Moving on to the items, we have 2 Pokeball and a Pokemon Communication for search. Pokemon Communication is very underrated, especially if you're running like a lower Pokemon count deck, because they're going to get into situations where you're going to have 100% odds of pulling a specific Pokemon that you need in your hand at that moment. For the Pokemon tools, we have 2 Giant Capes and a Rocky Helmet. The Giant Cape is basically a necessity for your Arceus EX to prevent it from getting one-shotted by Rampardos EX, Charizard EX, Incineroar EX. The list really does go on. And Rocky Helmet, I just love putting it on my active Carnivine or Delcatty. It's just so annoying for your opponent to deal with. Now we have 2 Professor's Research, and again, do I need to explain why? We have a Cyrus because this deck isn't going to be like crazy heavy hitting. You're going to get into situations where, yeah, you might be able to one-shot your opponent, but more often than not, you're going to need Cyrus for those clutch situations. And here we go. We are running 2 Ilima. And Ilima paired with Delcatty might be my favorite duo in the game right now. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Ilima, basically it allows you to pull one of your colorless Pokemon that has damage on it into your hand. So whether it's on the bench or in your active position, you can just pull it and then essentially play it back. It's basically a full restore plus a free switch. It's just amazing, guys. It really is. This is an absolute difference maker in winning or losing battles, and the fact that you can have 2 of this card in one deck, it's insane. It really does seize the moment of turning defense into offense. And also, if you get the worst possible starting hand, which is Arceus EX and Arceus EX only, this card kind of makes up for it. You know, your Arceus EX is going to get damaged whether you like it or not if you start it in your active position. And instead of leafing it away and having it damaged on your bench, you can just use Ilima, put one of your bench Pokemon out there, whether it be Carnivine or Delcatty, and then put a fully healthy Arceus EX on your bench. Greninja bothering your benched Arceus? Feel free to Ilima it and put it back on the bench for free. This card is absolutely amazing, and there's also niche situations in this deck where you could use it on your Delcatty. The possibilities really are endless. Ilima is going to make or break this deck, and when you learn how to play it perfectly, you're going to be winning a lot. And the last card in the deck is Guzma. And originally I had Rotom decks just to help out with search and intel, and it did get me a lot of wins, not going to lie, but I just felt like Guzma comes in a little bit more clutch. If your opponent has Rocky Helmet, it kind of disrupts the play and can cost you the game. The main offender of that being Darkrai EX and Giratina EX, which is still to this day probably the most popular deck in the meta. And there's a lot of situations where your opponent's active Darkrai or Giratina EX will have a Rocky Helmet on it. You have 160 HP on your Arceus EX. You deal damage to it, possibly knock it out, but hey, you're at 140 HP now. Darkrai attach energy, you're at 120, and Giratina will knock you out. That's just how it went for me. And ever since I added Guzma, it just gave me a higher win percentage against those hard counter decks. Incineroar is also a big offender of using Rocky Helmet and disrupting this whole deck, since it can potentially do 140 damage, instantly knocking out your caped Arceus EX. Guzma is just a safety net for that. And of course, there are situations where, you know, you can remove one of your opponent's capes, and it could ultimately win you the game that way. So Guzma, really great card. And that's gonna do it for this deck. I love this deck so much. I'm really proud of myself for putting it together with my own thoughts and inspirations. But let's get into some ranked matches. Hopefully we can hit Master Ball rank. That would be ideal. That would be huge for this video, but we're just gonna have to see if I can pull that off. Okay, so we're going second. It doesn't really matter too much whether we go first or second with this deck. They're running Dark, so it's either going to be the Arceus EX with Crobat or Darkrai Giratina. My biggest op. Okay, but we have an Arceus EX, essentially the worst start possible. They're running Crobat. I'd rather them run Crobat than Darkrai Giratina, honestly. Okay, there's the Arceus EX. They got a big hand too. I don't love this. They're gonna red card me. I actually don't mind that. So we got a Guzma, an Arceus EX, and a Skitty. Skitty's kind of cool. I'll take that. Pokemon Communication. You know what? Let's put Skitty on the bench, and we're gonna attach energy to Skitty. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Let's end the turn right there. Let's see what they got for us. We might be able to Pokemon Communication the Arceus EX for a Delcatty. Hopefully they do some damage to us. That's probably going to do some damage to us. Hopefully we can get an Ilima up in here. That would be fantastic. Yeah, we're definitely going to put Arceus EX on the bench. We have the Skitty here for the communication, and we're just going to have to tank another 20 damage from Darkrai EX. We're in one-shot territory for the Darkrai EX next turn, and we have Ilima. So with that being said, let's communication first. If we have a Carnivine, that won't be the end of the world, honestly. So it's either we get a Carnivine or a Delcatty. Either way, that's a W for us. We get a Carnivine. I'd rather have the Delcatty, but I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all. So let's go ahead and Ilima, and we're gonna send in that Carnivine to knock out that Zubat. Yes, the Darkrai EX will be able to knock out the Carnivine next turn, but at least we get rid of their Zubat, and they're gonna have a harder time setting up a potential Crobat down the road now. So there we go. We knock out the Zubat. We get a prize point for that, most importantly. This is the battle of the Arceus EX decks. That's kind of crazy. So there's the Rocky Helmet. Guzma can come in clutch for that. Okay, so they're gonna do 80 damage, knock out our Carnivine, Prize points are even right now. They got a big hand still. And we have a Skitty that we can throw on our bench. That's pretty good. I'll honestly take that. This Skitty's gonna get knocked out next turn anyways. So we're just gonna go ahead and attach energy, deal 20 damage. I doubt they have a heal in this deck. I really do. I don't think this deck has the space for a heal. Unless they retreat, I think we win next turn. They got a Pokeball. They got another Zubat, and they're going to Wait, we need a basic Pokemon on the bench. We need a basic Pokemon on the bench, and we only have one left in our deck. Oh, no. Oh, Delcatty. Okay, so I guess that's kind of cool. I think we're going to have to Guzma here. It'll do 130 damage if they can pull off the Crobat. So, yes, we have to Guzma. We're going to deal big damage with Arceus. 110. We have no cards in our hand. That is insane. They're going to have to retreat here. We still have that Cyrus in our deck, too. Our deck is looking pretty thick.
What did he say?
We weren't able to pull a single Pokeball. Oh, they got a Sabrina. Oh no. Okay, we have to send out this Arceus EX. Hopefully we can get an Ilima now. Oh no, this is close. I can't believe how thick my deck is looking right now. Pause. They have the Crobat now. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, they switch. Yeah, they still will be able to knock it out next turn. Wow. Okay. Ilima! You can't make this up. You actually can't make this up. So we're gonna Ilima there. Wow, we got really lucky there, but we're very unlucky for this whole entire game. We're gonna put Arceus EX back on the bench. We're gonna attach energy to it as well, and we're gonna go ahead and knock out that Crobat. They have to send out that Arceus now. This is gonna be close. I don't think they're gonna be able to have a full bench. I think at most they're gonna be able to do 110 damage to us. This is just a battle of who gets unluckier at this point. We still have Cyrus. We still have 2 capes. Okay, now they're going to be able to do 130 by next turn. Professor's research. Let's get a cape. Cyrus, wait a minute. We're going to Pokeball. We got Carnivine. We're going to attach energy to our benched Arceus. Hopefully they don't have a second Cyrus. I doubt they do. Oh, wait, they didn't use a Cyrus yet. Wait a minute. They don't have a second energy on that Arceus EX. They attach energy to Darkrai EX. Do they have a Dawn? Wait a minute. Do they have a Dawn? I'm gonna play it extra safe. I'm gonna send out our healthy Arceus EX and not attack because we have Cyrus. They could have a Dawn. That would be a crazy play by them. Okay, so they won't be able to attack this turn. Either way, the Cyrus came in clutch. We win. That was a crazy first game. Oh my goodness. Wow, we were incredibly unlucky that entire game. Bruh. And of course, quickest conceders in the world in rank. There we go. You love to see it. Ilima is insane. Okay, let's get into our next match. That was a crazy showing of Arceus EX versus the more popular version of Arceus EX. You love to see those wins. Okay, we're running up against Grass. That's interesting. Again, this could also be Arceus EX with Crobat and Carnivine, but more likely it's going to be a version of Meowscarada, either with Serena or Decidueye EX. We got 2 Skitty and an Arceus EX, so we're gonna put a Skitty in the active position, put Arceus EX on our bench, and we got great search off rip too. We're gonna start the game there. So we're still correct on the Meowscarada prediction. They got the Leafy Cape. That's fine. That is fine. We got Rocky Helmet. Let's go ahead and Pokeball. We're gonna pull anything other than a Skitty, and we get a Carnivine. I'd definitely rather get that. Let's Professor's Research, and we get a Guzma and a Carnivine. Okay, so you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna put 1 Carnivine down, because if they Iono us, I'd rather have a bigger hand to try to get a Delcatty. I doubt they Mars us. I doubt they red card us. Let's go ahead and just attack. No need for the Rocky Helmet just yet. They're not going to be able to attack next turn, but potentially if they don't play a bench Pokemon with Guzma and Carnivine, we're going to be able to knock it out. Okay. Guzma play incoming. Well, that's going to do that for the second game. Let's go ahead and Guzma and win the game. That is wild. Guzma can win games early. Just goes to show. And they had a huge hand. They definitely had a basic Pokemon in it, but was refusing to play it for whatever reason. There we go. We keep moving. Okay, that was a weird match, but let's get into something a little bit better than that. Okay, so we're going second here. Going up against Fire. We got Delcatty Skitty, and we have a Pokeball. This is actually kind of looking nice. Let's send out the Skitty. We might as well put the Carnivine on the bench, and let's start the game. Charmander. Okay. Okay, it could just be a Soul Charizard EX deck. Yep, there's the Litten. Okay, so Incineroar EX, Charizard EX. Very popular deck in the meta. But let's go ahead and Pokeball here. And we get an Arceus EX. Perfect. So if they can't evolve their Charmander, it actually gets knocked out from our Carnivine. But either way, we're going to be attaching Giant Cape to our Arceus EX just to shield itself from an Incineroar or Charizard. They got to get there first, but either way, 20 damage to the Charmander. And by next turn, we're going to be able to energize or potentially knock out that Charmander. I would be surprised if they can't evolve at least one of their Pokemon. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so there's the Charmeleon. We're not going to be able to knock out with Carnivine, so I might as well just leave the Delcatty in there. And they have a Cape. Okay, don't love that. And it's our turn. We got a Cyrus too. Okay, that could come in clutch, but let's evolve to the Delcatty. Let's attach energy. We do energy assist for 30, and we attach another energy to Arceus EX, and we got a big energy advantage now. There's a Pokemon Center lady. Oh, okay. So we're going to be able to knock out with Arceus EX. Okay. I mean, the energy speed from Delcatty really helped out with that, but at this rate, I don't see how they can beat us. Okay, so there's the Litten. You're going to have to evolve it to the Incineroar for it to be remotely scary, but let's see. Oh, hold on. There's the rare candy. There's a Charizard EX. So they don't have the Incineroar is what I'm seeing. Yeah, they definitely don't have the Incineroar. Okay, so they're just going to sacrifice this Litten. Poor kitty. And they're going to red card. You know what? I'll take that. I mean, I will miss the Rocky helmet, but oh my goodness, we got more search out of that. And we got the Rocky helmet back. Okay, let's Pokeball. Okay, we got an Arceus EX. We're going to be able to start building that up. We got Professor's Research, Giant Cape, Goose. Okay, I think it's over for our homie over there. I'm going to keep the Rocky helmet. We might want to send out the Carnivine. We might want to send out the Delcatty, but we're definitely going to attach Giant Cape to our benched Arceus EX. Let's get an energy on it, and we say goodbye to that little kitty. So even if they have a red, we're going to be able to potentially attack with Arceus EX. No, we definitely are going to be able to attack with Arceus EX because they couldn't attack there. I forgot. I just assumed since this Charizard EX just gets set up so quickly, I just assumed that it would have attacked us. Either way, I think we win at this rate. We're going to deal 130. Even if they have a Lily, they're going to get knocked out by that Arceus EX. We got a Delcatty with a communication, meaning we have a guaranteed basic Pokemon for next turn. So even if they have a Cape plus some other doodads, they lose. Okay. Yep. And they don't even have the red. Okay. So we win. We steamrolled that Charizard EX Incineroar EX deck. That's pretty cool. We are at match point to make it to Master Ball rank right now. 2 points away. Let's get it. Come on. Okay, here we go. We're going first, and it looks like we're going up against some type of water deck. I don't love that. The Greninja Giratina deck is very annoying. Hopefully it's not that. We're gonna send in the Skitty. We're gonna see what happens. They got Giratina. Okay. Not what I was hoping for. Okay, let's Professor's Research. Hopefully we can get some Pokemon on the bench. There we go, Carnivine and a Delcatty. I feel like I might want to save the Carnivine, the Pokemon Communication. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to end the turn right now. I'd rather have Arceus on the bench than a Carnivine. No, never mind. We're good. Oh, and there's the Arceus anyways. Okay, I will gladly take that. Let's set up the bench. We're looking good. We got a Delcatty in play already, and let's go ahead and start building up while dealing some damage. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there we go. 30 damage. We're gonna be able to attach energy to Arceus, and just like that Giratina EX is in one-shot potential damage from our Arceus EX, and they don't have anything for their bench. This is not looking good for them at all. We could potentially just win next turn. Let's see. We're gonna Professor's Research here, and we got another Ilima and another Arceus EX. I might as well put this Arceus EX on the bench, and what I'm gonna do here is attach an energy to it, and we're going to be able to energy. Ooh, you know what? Should we Giant Cape? Yeah, I'm going to Giant Cape that Arceus. We're going to Energy Assist to our Caped Arceus. And next turn, no matter what, we're going to be able to attack with that Arceus. This is kind of like one of those situations where you get that Delcatty built up early enough where you can start building up two Arceus EX at the same time. It's going to be hard for our opponent to to come back from this at this point. They're at 90 HP. Do they have anything for the bench? They have something on the bench. Okay, but is it gonna be enough though? Are they gonna do with the Giratina? Okay, so they're gonna leave it out there. We're gonna be able to knock out that Giratina with this Arceus EX, no problem. We're gonna be able to knock out that Greninja. We have a Guzma. If they have a cape, we'll be able to take it off. Just the overwhelming energy buildup of this deck is insane. So there we go. We take down the Giratina EX. We're gonna send out that Froakie. Let's see if they have that Greninja. It's not gonna be enough. Nothing they send our way is going to be enough. Oh, there we go. They conceded. And just like that, we got to Master Ball rank for this video for this Arceus EX deck. That is actually insane. It just goes to show that you can do it. There we go. Master Ball rank. Wow. Okay, that is awesome. This deck is really cool. I really like how it's not really like popular in the meta right now. There's variants of it. You know, instead of Delcatty, they use Crobat. But it just goes to show that some of these niche decks can bring you to Master Ball rank if they're built good enough. And I think Delcatty is very, very slept on. It's so slept on, especially for building up your Arceus EX. So there we have it. We hit Master Ball rank just like that. Now it's time to grind for top 10K, top 5K, who knows, top 1K. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I'm so glad I was able to do that for this video. So that's gonna do it for this video. As always, I like to make some like niche variants of very meta relevant decks, maybe make them a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. Most importantly, something that your opponent isn't really going to expect. And the pace that Delcatty brings to this deck is just absolutely insane. And it's definitely gonna catch your opponent off guard. As you can see, I'm living proof of it. You're going to be able to hit Master Ball rank with that Arceus EX deck. So test it out for yourselves. I hope it brings you as much success as it brought me. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. If you want to make any modifications, I would suggest subbing out that Guzma for a Rotom Dex just to have a little bit more draw potential. That's how I originally built this deck, and it got me through a lot of Ultra Ball 4, but later on I just found that Guzma was a little bit more, you know, reliable. But go have fun with it, get the Master Ball rank, and as always, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.